Hey guys, welcome to another Fleet Ops audio commentary. This is Triptych, bringing you a 2 vs 3. I probably won't post that last one. I will, just so we can see Drone build his Tavara against a noob. But now we have a 2 vs 3, with the new player Annette being the third player over here, and we have a triple Borg on the bottom versus Feds and Klingons. Let's see. So we have Sutee and Klingon on the top. Sutee has Federation, and Klingon is a Takraja Klingon. And on the bottom, we have Drone, Shadow de Grey, and Annette, all playing Borg. I wonder what avatars they are. Well, I mean, there we have an Optimize. Once again, Annette going for the extra constructor. It'll slow you down a little bit in the beginning, especially since Borg constructors are hugely expensive. But hence the 2 vs 3. As you can see, Sutee is going for his now familiar Yard and... oh yeah. Yard and Engineering. You really do need to get your conduction matrix up. It's just the way that the game is designed. Borg build their conduction matrix within like 2 seconds of starting, because they need that in order to build all their other ships. Meanwhile, Klingon is getting his field yard. He's going to get some cabbage out. That's pretty standard though. We'll see what special things he's doing in just a minute. Pardon me. And Sutee's going for warpins, it looks like. I don't remember how much of this was random, but he knows he's got at least one Borg enemy. And they're going to realize they're against triple Borg now. I wonder if these guys know that they're on all chat still, or if they're just including me. I appreciate that when people go, when they go to allied chat and then they also select me on here so that I can hear what they're saying. But I can't chat at all. So, let me see, this one's chatted to gray, right? Yeah, and Drone is green. So there's Nodes level 1, he's getting his miners out. Nodes level 1 I think is finished. Getting his miners out. Klingons are scouting effectively. Okay, so Klingon's getting his battle yard up. That's a very nice place for it, I think. This map has these weird, like, super far back expansions for the wing players, which kinda, it's weird because it takes so long to get back there. Often people will mine it out and it'll be really safe just because, you know, if you send your fleet all the way down here, you're leaving yourself vulnerable. I think it gives a bit of an advantage to races like Klingons and Borg if they know how to do it, because the Klingons against, say, a Romulan, they can send like 3 cavorts and they'll wipe out the whole expansion, and then they can keep the rest of their fleet out, which the Romulans can do as well. In the old days, I used to love doing that with frigates. I would get 2 Generix frigates and just leave them in my enemy's backyard. I would never take them back or add them to my fleet. I would just attack every once in a while, kill off a miner or 2, and then cloak them out, find a nice spot to decloak and let them repair themselves. Sutee, yeah, he's getting a super early Starfleet command. He's probably going to need to build a forward yard as well. It's kind of weird to see this with only 2 people, because normally the third person here, he takes one of these wing expansions, because they can get their rear expansions. With the Borg, it doesn't really matter at all, though, because they can get their miners go wherever they want, and they don't really fortify their space. So Shadow de Grey is getting some scubes, but not probes. And it looks like his ally drone is just going to go straight for a sphere, I think. Which is not a bad plan on a map this size. I know some rush strategies you can get a sphere out in 8.5 minutes is usually standard. I wonder what the timer is so far. I should start running a timer next to my games, see if I can find one on my computer so I can tell exactly how long the game's been going while I'm commentating. Yeah, 8.5 minutes is the fastest sphere I've ever seen. Okay, but he's getting a dode. Man, everybody's just macroing up. At this distance, they don't really care. Ah, Shadow de Grey, you lost your scout. And Sangs. Okay, that makes sense. Klingons. And actually, against the board, who have primarily large ships, and certainly their only high-tech big fleet ships are large, it's certainly not a bad idea to break out the Sangs and the other torpedo weaponry. So if I were Sutee, I would probably keep a couple Kabadge around for tanking purposes, and other than that, like, I would expand, and probably double, maybe triple yard Sangs, and just get a ridiculous cloud of them. It's fun stuff. The Federation just do really well because they have lots of... Oh, I'm sorry, that's not Sutee, that's Klingon. If I were Klingon, I would do that. Sutee is calling in his warpman, probably defensively. Yeah, you don't want to go attacking with that. Ooh, nice pull. Very nice pull. So, as you can see, he's really not building here. Oh, he's also a Risner, so he is planning to go for more late game. I wonder if we're going to see an Irati yard back here, or maybe in a forward position, because he's sending this guy out. I would like to see E2s, but I don't know if that's a good call. They're a fun ship. Man, are they hard to use, because they are, unlike most of the other Federation stuff, they are crazy expensive, and their stats aren't that good. It's just the fact, and they're slow, so if they ever lose a fight, they're just dead. They're going to die. But I like them because if you can mass them in huge numbers, they just become unstoppable. Like, there's absolutely nothing the enemy can do. Unless his fleet is even bigger than yours is. So there, he just got his allied repair up so he can get some Kabadge assistance. But honestly, let's see. Assimilating. Regen cubes. I don't like regen cubes. They have significantly lower damage than intercept cubes. But 2 of these, the Dode, he'll be able to cause a bit of terror. However, no, not really. Not with these. I think these are large cruisers. They might just be medium, but that's a battleship. No, that's also a cruiser. Okay. I would say because battleship class ships take almost 0 damage from this phase torpedo, or micro. Adapted photon torpedo launchers. But these are still cruisers, so... But since they're not small, they won't take full damage. The Kabadge, they'll just get ripped apart by that sucker. And there's a yard. He's going to try to get that up and get allied repair. And that Dode does almost 0 damage to structures, so... I don't think these Borg are in a very good place right now. I think they're going to die. It was a nice attack, but it got scouted way early. The top team knew he was doing this a long time ago, and they got their stuff in place. I think they might even kill that Dode because it's slow. But that depends on how far they chase. And no, I don't think Drone realizes his position here, of how badly he can die. Or maybe he just really wants to get a kill, because he knows he's playing 3 versus 2. He figures if he can do a fair fight, if he can do a 1-to-1 ratio of ships destroyed, then that's a very good thing. But I don't think he can pull that off. As you can see, Sutee swapped that to an Irati yard, and he's going for big guns now. He's going to break out that Risner charm. As you can see, Annette is going ahead getting some scout cubes. Borg can be pretty hard to pick up for new players. you have to get used to building the connections and monitoring the 4 resource types instead of 3. Everybody's mining though. Shouted to Gray, I think, is saving up for something big. I don't see where he spent his money. I'm expecting to see a sphere really soon from him. Actually, yeah, okay. He needs 50 connections for a sphere. Oh, so he is sphere rushing. Ooh, I really want to know what the time is then. Because it looks like he is going to pull it off about as fast as it was possible to do so. So we have the Klingons. They're going to slowly be massing up more and more Sangs. With that amount of resources, I'm guessing a battle yard? No? Just a whole lot of mining. He's now on 3 and 2, and he has kept up cabbage production. There's now a second Dode, so they are starting to get a bit more intimidating, but man. Okay, 2 cubes from Annette. An adapter coming in, and that is a defensive adapter. That is a fully defensive adapter with the EM field that detects cloak. Oh man, this Borg fleet is in trouble. They need to leave. They can't fight this. Let's see. There's the sphere though. Although, man, the way this top team is building, I wonder if that sphere was delayed by anything, or maybe just the Feds and the Klingons have been really optimizing their build. Because they have the firepower that I don't think that sphere is going to be all that unstoppable. Because normally when a sphere very first comes out, when it's early, there's just nothing the enemy can do against it. But if this top team combined all their firepower on a sphere, they might be able to take it out. Oh, man. Oh, he gets the kill. Lucky shot there. But I was going to say, other than that, the bottom team drone here isn't getting many kills. He's activating his desperation mode. But he could lose a lot. Here come Annette's cubes to help out. So at least the firepower that they have is very high. And if this sucker starts using EM, the Klingons are all going to die off. Okay, now the tables are suddenly turned because these Federation guys, they have to get back. And they can't afford to take any losses at all. They will be so screwed if they do. A cube does go down. Oh, I thought that was an EM. Okay, it's a 1 adapter, 1 EM adapter. Oh man, that could be the first kill that Sutee's taken, or the first loss. So Sutee loses a ship. Dun dun dun. The Borg are going to retreat now, and now they just sort of started leaning on him. Like they can use the fact that they have 3 players to the 2 players on the top, and just sort of apply the pressure. Who's getting shot? Oh, that dude. Sutee is about to have another warp-in ready though. And there's his second Irati, and what are we building today? He's teching up. Yep, Starship Chassis level 3. So that's where all of his money's been going. Notice, he bought all these expensive buildings, and he has the Starfleet Command, which is quite expensive. But he hasn't spent any resources on combat ships at all. He's just dealing with these. These are his stopgap measure until he gets his Chassis level 3 ships up. And man, each of these suckers is like 1,400 dilithium. The chassis research itself is either... Okay, he's Risner, so he gets a discount. So I think it's like 1,200 instead of 1,600. So it is expensive, but once he gets there, he can get Phalanx, he can get Defiance, he can start building the really big bruisers of the Federation fleet. His ally, Klingon, is in a bit of trouble, though. I mean, I don't know. He can kill off these Dodes, and he can probably kill off the adapters, too. But he may lose a lot of stuff. And that sphere, I don't think he can kill. So this is really going to depend on how these players use this yard and how they juggle their ships. You see that one got into the yard. Adapter taking damage. These guys are sticking in the back as far away from damage as they can. Oh, I think that ship got killed in the yard. It's not so good. And these Klingon ships are going to get killed faster than they can repair. That is the thing. Klingon ships repair kind of slowly because of their system values. Even when they are in a yard, it's not nearly as fast as a Romulan. Because what a yard does is it's a multiplier of your existing repair rate. It's like 4 or 5 times normal repair rate. So you'll notice earlier, like those Lavals, when they get into a yard, they repair in like 2 seconds. But a Klingon ship, one of these guys with like 7 system value, he doesn't do too good. Oh man, and Sutee is just charging in there on this aggressive prime sphere. This is full damage. This is maximized damage, and it doesn't have any regeneration ability. But I don't think they're going to get the kill on it, sad. Yeah, these beefy ambassadors, those guys are hard to kill. And that was another Dode, and these cubes are coming over, but they might get a kill on this sphere. A well-placed warp in. Almost. Oh man, so this is going to get killed off. The top team doing very well in their coordination. And as you can see, it's a bit of a problem with the feds. This entire fleet is still free. Like, Sutee hasn't paid any money for these ships. They're all assistants from the Great Federation. So this sphere is going to go away now, and it's going to repair itself entirely. But the adapter's dead, the cubes are dead, and they're going to kill off this center expansion. Large repair lines going. Obviously, Klingon has allied repair, so Sutee can use it. So they're going to call that a win and go home, as Sutee gets phalanxes. Tough call on that. The phalanx is the beefiest... well, I said that about the Tavara the other game. The phalanx is the beefiest ship in the Federation lineup. It's one of the only Federation ships that has a higher offense value than defense value. It's long range, and it does area damage, which is good against clusters of ships. Against the Borg, it's not that optimal because it also has pulse damage. But I think he just wants it because it's big. It's a huge ship, and it's really, really expensive. Say the Federation, they have a bit of a division between their incredibly cheap ships that are easy to mass, their warp-in ships that are free, and then because some of their ships are so cheap, the ones that, like the special ships that augment their fleet, are really expensive, like the E2s, and then the Sovereigns, and finally Phalanx. So they also build really slow. I mean, they're like 82nd? No. That was 80 seconds. So yeah, that's 2.5 minutes, I think, to build a Phalanx. You're capped at 8, or maybe 6. As you can see, Klingon is just producing massed Sangs. And even though they're fragile, if you have other ships in front of them, Sangs are very nasty because they're long range. They stay in the back, and when they start to take damage, you just send them back to repair. You can cloak them out. So as long as there's other stuff in front of it, like free Federation ships, then the Sangs can just pound all day long on the enemy. And especially in the case of like these Borg, where they have to be kind of timid, they have to be careful with their spheres and keep them in the back. So it's very difficult for them to kill off a Sang, because once the Sang turns around and starts to run away, if the Borg player wanted to kill that Sang, he would have to get a sphere right in the middle of the enemy fleet and chase after that Sang. So a Borg fleet can't really get good kills on that. The answer, of course, is a diamond. He's getting his transmission matrix, so down here Shadow de Grey is preparing his endgame fleet. And diamonds, even though they have a mischance, they'll still do just fine against Sangs, because I think you only have to hit the Sang with like 2 or 3 diamond torpedoes to kill it. And they have nanites, which is the huge determining factor of the Borg late game, because I just got done telling you the Borg have trouble getting their ships out, and they have trouble chasing after Sangs and stuff. Well, Nanite Swarm disables engines. It's an area engine disable. So that immediately lets the Borg control the map. It gives them really, really good engine hooks and what's the word, like crowd control. And so if they have that, they can do really well. It looks like Annette is probably going to be giving off supplies to these other players since she's building all these incubation chambers a little bit earlier than most people would. Yeah, here's Drone is getting nodes level 3 and he's building tons of adapters. So these guys are trying to play the economic game. They're trying to play the 3 versus 2, and they're saying they don't really care if they lose individual fights as long as they keep the economic advantage. As long as they're able to lean on Sutee and Klingon. Or Sutee and Zap, sorry. So there's 2 phalanx. Our Starfleet command's ready. It's about ready. So this is a nasty adapter fleet. And they're all various. There, you see how different these can be? So that is a 29-35-29. That is, it has EM field and a partial adaptation. This is a damage one. It has 41 offense. It does way more damage and is way weaker defensively. I would say this is an ill-advised attack. I don't think you're going to get any kills here. Then again, the Klingons, they feel like they can just leave and run, but I don't think they can. Oh, this is bad. This is very bad. There are EM scubes and EM adapters, and if they get... I think they did. Yep, they got vision. Because these guys, they have an area cloak detect that only works when they're firing. So if you can get away and they stop firing, then you're out. But as long as it's firing, as long as it fires on one dude, it can see all of them. Okay, so Annette has to leave. I don't think the game will have too much of a difference now, as she didn't have very many ships built, only the resources. Her allies were kind of counting on those resources, but maybe they can move in and kill off the constructors and start mining from these moons. But now it is a true 2v2. And as you can see, the moment these guys start attacking, they'll decloak this entire Klingon fleet. Oh, but the Feds are here with a full warp-in fleet. One of those even left because he called it in a new group. And these awesome adapters are going to take so much damage from the Sangs. I think the bottom fleet is going to lose it here. If only they had nanites. I don't think the nanites are ready yet, but if they were, they could get away, but they aren't, so they can't, and they're all going to die. That was a really nice ambush they pulled there, and Drone is just out. He's like, no, I'm sorry, guys. I think he just lost his entire adapter fleet really quickly. I'll let the AI take over for just a moment. Just so we have a chance to see nanites used once, maybe. But no, this sphere is going to die. Because although it's very strong defensively, even though this is a damaged sphere, it's not going to be able to take off these ships because these pursuing ships can just peel off like that and go back and repair. So even though he can chase them off, he's not going to kill a single enemy. Well, unless the diamond torpedo hits. So as you see, you get the very long chase going. The phalanx with their 49 offensive value. Yeah, there goes the diamond. Because what's it going to run to, you know? Even if it makes it back to the starbase, and he upgrades the starbase damage to full, they could still kill the diamond. And that's the problem that Borg players run into a lot. Is, where is it safe? Where can they even send their ship when it's being attacked that it will live? And the answer is nowhere. Okay, so I think this game is finished. This has been Fleet Ops Audio Commentary. This is Triptych signing off.